Right. So, one of the arguments this person that's defending my aunt is making is that I don't know what a living will is, and that's the problem. I'm just so stupid. I don't know what things are. You're right, I don't. But I will bet you my grandmother also did not know what a living will was. And I will also bet you that that living will happened while she was in the hospital as a way of getting rid of the real will, which my aunt did not want to read. They were aware that the living will could just be thrown away as trash after the person dies. My grandmother, like me, probably only understood the word will. Because if you look at the living will, if you actually read it, it very clearly says what she wants to happen. She wanted me to have everything. She put that in the will. Yes, she also put that I had gotten into trouble, that I had run in with a bad group of people, but that she loved me, and she wanted to make sure I was going to be okay, and she knew that the rest of the family would not help me after her death, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay. She wanted to be sure I was okay. The family brought a lawyer to her while she was in the hospital. The family lawyer. This is all family. There was a legal final will. They brought in the lawyer while she was dying. They said, "Mom, we need to update this." They threw away the original legal will. They said, "This is no longer, we're making a new one." They created a living will. They replaced the final will with a living will, which my grandmother explicitly stated what she wanted done with everything. Clear-minded, sane, explicit, that she wanted me taken care of. My aunts were aware that the living will was not legal. They convinced her to dispose of the only legal will on file, and then they created another version that they could disregard. I can almost guarantee you my grandmother did not understand what they were doing, or she would not have replaced the final will with a living will, because the living will was so clear in her intentions that there is no way she would have intentionally left me homeless with nothing the way my family did. So yes, you're right. I don't understand what a living will is. My grandmother most likely did not understand what a living will is. My family that took everything from me and is now trying to silence me understood what a living will was. And they used it to manipulate their mother so that Kathy could just take whatever she wanted. And their intention was that I would die and nobody would ever know what they did, because I was worthless. I couldn't work, I couldn't get a decent man, I couldn't do anything. They knew I had these mental health issues. They knew I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. So they took everything and they told me never to contact them again, and they waited for me to die. And how disappointed they must be that I still wake up every single morning to talk about what they did. How disappointed they're going to remain that I'm going to continue waking up every morning for a long time to let them know what you did. Because it's not right. Just because it was legal, because you use legal loopholes, because there's lawyers in the family that you paid to manipulate an elderly woman. And Kathy likes to say, well, that I wrote that will. None of that was real. I wrote that. But I wasn't even there when my grandmother wrote either will. So how could I have had any input in it? Kathy was. Kathy was the one going back and forth to the lawyers in the family and bringing people in to see Meemaw. They did all of that while she was dying. Kathy's main priority was making sure there was no will. That's why that was one of the first words out of her mouth. The morning my grandmother died, Kathy knocked on my door and she said, "You need to know your grandmother is dead and there is no will." Those were her exact words to tell me that my grandmother had died. Your grandmother is dead and there is no will. Why was that so important to be the very next words out of her mouth if she had not been planning that the entire time she was there? There is no will. Everything's fucked and you're about to be left to be homeless and dead in the streets. Well, I didn't die, Kathy. I didn't die. And you're not dead yet either. So you still get to face the repercussions of what you did. Or your children will get to face the repercussions of what you did. Or somebody in your family will have to face the repercussions of what you did for your drug addiction. Because I'm not going away. I'm not just going to lay down and die and let you win again. You already took everything, and now you want to take the story too. You want to take the truth. You want to attack my brother. She's going to keep attacking my brother. And I'm going to keep speaking out for the truth. She's attacking him because it hurts me. Because she thinks if I hurt him, she'll stop. She thinks if she attacks little Ronnie, I'll just go away to protect him because I love him. And I would do anything to keep him safe and protected. But if I just go away, I'm not doing anything to protect him. I'm allowing her to continue using him and hurting him because I wasn't strong enough to continue fighting against her. Y'all can call me weak and pathetic and worthless, but it takes immense strength to continue fighting against a force that is as strong as my family and the cyberbullying groups that have surrounded them. And I'm not going to throw in the towel and stop anytime soon. The money is gone, the property is gone, the land is gone, but my aunt is still here making my life miserable, making my life hell, because I want to tell the truth. This is what drugs will do to a person. I don't want to believe that my aunt did this of her own volition. I want to blame opioids. I want to blame drugs. I want to say that she did it because she was a drug addict and she's doing what she's doing now because she's a drug addict. She can't help herself because she's a drug addict. But I know that that's just my brain trying to convince me that my family is not really what they are. They're just drug addicts and they can't help themselves because it's easier to process it if they just can't help themselves. Like looking at a dog that's accidentally bit you because you were holding bacon. You know the dog can't help itself. You can't get mad at it. I want to see my family like that dog that can't help itself. But as I grow older and get therapized and get treated and start to understand things that we can and can't help about ourselves, it's harder for me to put off all of these actions as something that they can't help. Because it's very deliberate and very intentional and consistent. And if they couldn't help it, they would at least attempt to stop. But they won't. Because what they want is for me to die. so they won't have to deal with me anymore. They don't have to deal with me and my truth and my pain anymore.